Good morning, everyone. It's Miss Gardner here again, ready for another read aloud. I'm so glad that you all enjoyed the read aloud I did yesterday of Knuffle Bunny Free. And so today we are going to be starting the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, which is one of my all-time favorite books and also one of my all-time favorite movies as well. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is one of my favorites. And today we're going to just dive into reading chapter 1. And then as we go throughout our week of homeschooling, or weeks, not sure how long it will be, unfortunately. I hope we're back together soon. But we are going to read a chapter each day, maybe even two if some of them are short. So first, before we read a book, we're going to preview it, just like we did with Knuffle Bunny Free yesterday, which I'm so glad that a lot of people enjoyed that read aloud. That made me very happy, and I'm really excited to keep doing read alouds with you. So if we look at the cover, I'll come up a little closer. So we know who this is if you've seen the movie, Willy Wonka, and I know that this is Charlie. If we come to the back, it says, "Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this golden ticket." Sometimes it gives us a summary or a blurb on the back, tells us what's going to happen in the book. A little summary, doesn't give away the ending, but usually tells us what it's about. But this just says, "Greetings to you, the lucky finder of this golden ticket." So that tells us that we have to read to find out what exactly a golden ticket is and how we find one. Alright, so I'm going to open up the book. Oh, looks like my blurb is on this page here. Alright, so let's read it. Willy Wonka's famous chocolate factory is opening at last, but only 5 lucky children will be allowed inside. And the winners are Augustus Gloop, an enormously fat boy whose hobby is eating. Veruca Salt, a spoiled, rotten brat whose parents are wrapped around her little finger. Oh boy. Violet Beauregard, a dim-witted gum chewer with the fastest jaws around. Dim-witted. Doesn't sound like she's the brightest. Mike TV, who is a toy pistol-toting gangster in training who is obsessed with television. Doesn't sound like a good kid. And Charlie Bucket, our hero. A boy who is honest and kind, brave and true, and good and ready for the wildest time of his life. So we know that Charlie is our main character here, and the author makes it very clear in this summary that Charlie is going to be the choice, like the favorite of all these other children that get chosen to come into the factory. Alright, let's see. If I keep turning, it tells me all other books written by Roald Dahl. He has a lot. He's a famous author. He's very popular. And then again, we have our title page here. The dedication comes on this page, so Roald Dahl decided to dedicate this to Theo. Flip to this page, and now we have a table of contents. Usually we see that in nonfiction books, which is what we learned, but we know that sometimes they come in chapter books too when they want to tell us what all the different chapters are about and the headings and titles of these chapters. So in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, as you can see, there are so many chapters, and guess what? It continues on to the next page. In Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, there are 30 chapters. So we are going to be reading a 30 chapter long book together, which is super exciting. And that means that a lot is going to happen in this book. And then on this page, there's a lot in the beginning before we even start reading. This is why it's so important before you dive into a book that you have to look at all the pages that come before, because it's giving us a lot of hints and previews about what we're going to be reading about. Alright, so it says, there are 5 children in this book. Augustus Gloop, a greedy boy, and look what I have. This is Augustus Gloop. Veruca Salt, who is spoiled by her parents. Here's Veruca. Violet Beauregard, a girl who chews gum all day long, and Mike TV, who does nothing but watch television. His name sounds like he likes TV a lot. And Charlie Bucket, our hero. So there's our little character list here of all the important characters in this book, or the 5 children that are important. Chapter 1. All right, here we go. Chapter 1 is called Here Comes Charlie. These 2 very old people are the father and mother of Mr. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine. And these 2 very old people are the father of Mrs. Bucket, or the father and mother of Mrs. Bucket. Their names are Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina. There they are at the top. This is Mr. Bucket. This is Mrs. Bucket. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket have a small boy whose name is Charlie Bucket. This is Charlie. How do you do? And how do you do? And how do you do again? He is pleased to meet you. The whole of this family, the 6 grown-ups, count them. So we have Grandpa Joe, Grandma Josephine, Grandpa George, Grandma Georgina, Mr. Bucket, Mrs. Bucket, and then Charlie. The 6 grown-ups. We had the 6 grown-ups and Charlie. And little Charlie lived together in a small wooden house on the edge of the great town. The house wasn't nearly large enough for so many people, and life was extremely uncomfortable for them. There were only 2 rooms in the place altogether, and there was only one bed for 6 grown-ups and Charlie. The bed was given to the 4 old grandparents because they were so old and tired. They were so tired they never got out of it. There's Charlie's house and the city behind them. Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine on this side, Grandpa George and Grandma Georgina on this side. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket and little Charlie Bucket slept in the other room upon mattresses on the floor. In the summertime, this wasn't too bad, but in the winter, freezing cold drafts blew across the floor all night long, and it was awful. In the summertime, this wasn't too... I reread the part. Sometimes we forget to track. There wasn't any question of them being able to buy a better house, or even more bed to sleep in. They were far too poor for that. Mr. Bucket was the only person in the family with a job. He worked in a toothpaste factory where he sat all day long at a bench and screwed the little caps onto the tops of tubes of toothpaste after the tubes had been filled. Imagine that job. But a toothpaste cap screwer is never paid much money. And poor Mr. Bucket, however hard he worked, and however fast he screwed on the caps, was never able to make enough to buy 1/2 of the things that so large a family needed. There wasn't even enough money to buy proper food for them all. The only meals they could afford were bread and margarine for breakfast, boiled potatoes and cabbage for lunch, and cabbage soup for supper. Doesn't sound very good. Sundays were a bit better. They all looked forward to Sundays because then, although they had exactly the same, everyone was allowed a second helping. The Buckets, of course, didn't starve, but every one of them, the 2 old grandfathers, the 2 old grandmothers, Charlie's father, Charlie's mother, and especially little Charlie himself, went about from morning till night with a horrible, empty feeling in their tummies. Charlie felt it worst of all. And although his father and mother often went without their share of lunch or supper so that they could give it to him, it still wasn't nearly enough for a growing boy. We know that we need a lot of food as we grow up because it helps us to grow big and strong. And Charlie doesn't get that because he doesn't have enough money to afford food for himself or even his family. He desperately wanted something more filling and satisfying than cabbage and cabbage soup. The one thing he longed for more than anything else was, can you make a guess? Chocolate. Walking to school in the mornings, Charlie could see great slabs of chocolate piled up high in the shop windows, and he would stop and stare and press his nose against the glass, his mouth watering like mud. Many times a day, he would see other children taking creamy candy bars out of their pockets and munching them greedily, and that, of course, was pure torture. Only once a year on his birthday did Charlie Bucket ever get to taste a bit of chocolate. The whole family saved up their money for that special occasion, and when the day arrived, Charlie was always presented with one small chocolate bar to eat all by himself. And each time he received it, on those marvelous birthday mornings, he would place it carefully in a small wooden box that he owned, and treasure it as though it were a bar of solid gold. And for the next few days, he would allow himself only to look at it, but never to touch it. Then, at last, when he could stand it no longer, he would peel back a tiny bit of the paper wrapping at one corner to expose a tiny bit of chocolate, and then he would take a tiny nibble, just enough to allow the lovely sweet taste to spread out slowly over his tongue. The next day he would take another tiny nibble, and so on, and so on. And in this way, Charlie would make his 10-cent bar of birthday chocolate last him more than a month. Can you imagine taking little tiny bites of chocolate, like you have a Hershey's bar and you only take tiny, tiny bits so it lasts you one whole month? That is crazy. I couldn't do that, but Charlie knows how important and how little he gets to have a treat, so he really savors it. But I haven't yet told you about one awful thing that tortured little Charlie, the lover of chocolate more than anything else. This thing, for him, was far, far worse than seeing slabs of chocolate in the shop windows or watching other children munching creamy candy bars right in front of him. It was the most terrible, torturing thing you could imagine, and it was this. In the town itself, actually within sight of the house in which Charlie lived, there was an enormous chocolate factory. Just imagine that! And it wasn't simply an ordinary enormous factory either. It was the largest and most famous in the whole world. It was Wonka's factory, owned by a man called Mr. Willy Wonka, the greatest inventor and maker of chocolates that there ever has been. And what a tremendous, marvelous place it was. It had huge iron gates leading it into it and a high wall surrounding it, smoke belching from its chimneys and strange whizzing sounds coming from deep inside it. And outside the walls for half a mile, around every direction, the air was scented with the heavy, rich smell of melting chocolate. So Charlie, who loves chocolate and only gets one small candy bar once a year and makes it last a month, has to see and smell chocolate every day, every second of that day, because it's right in his town, right near his house. Whew, that would be very hard. Oh, how Charlie loved that smell. And oh, how he wished he could go inside the factory and see what it was like. Now we have to stop here. We're on chapter 2. So now I have to make a prediction in my head. So if this whole chapter was about Charlie's family, and something we learned about Charlie is that he loves chocolate, and he gets one chocolate bar a year, and he makes it last a whole month. It lives in sight of Mr. Wonka's factory, which always smells of chocolate and makes the whole town smell of chocolate, and all he wants to do is go inside. So we learned some things about Charlie and his family, that he lives with his grandparents and his parents. They're very poor. They don't really have a lot of money. Well, they don't have any money because they're poor. And that they always eat the same type of food, cabbage soup. And Charlie is always hungry. And so now we have to think about how is this going to have an effect on Charlie throughout the book and the story that we are going to be told about him in the chocolate factory. Well, I'm super excited to read the next chapter, which is called Mr. Willy Wonka's Factory. So now that we got a little glimpse as to what the factory is, what it kind of looks like, what kind of smells it gives off, we can maybe get a deeper understanding of what his factory is actually like on Monday when we are back in reading chapter 2. So I'm super excited to keep reading this with you, and I'm missing you all so much in the time that we spent together, but we are going to make the most of this situation, and we are going to learn as much as we can from home until we are all back together. So I hope you all are being kind to your family, to whoever is taking care of you, and being kind to everyone around you, because it is super important during this time that we are practicing our kindness and respect. Well, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye!